Thank you. Thanks, man. Yeah, you drink. Yeah, yeah. I thought you were like toasting to it. Hi, how are we doing? Do we all want to like find seats or stuff? Do you guys want to just stand the whole time? I mean, you can. I don't care. I don't know. It just depends. You start throwing stuff at me or something, you know. They've got s'mores and everything else. Hey, shout out. Thank you, Lee. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, we did go to high school together. I was saying it was hard for me to get in because I was seeing so many parents of folks that we went to school with on the way in. They kept stopping me and saying, hey, and I'm like, oh, how's this been doing? Yeah, no, thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Elad Gross. I'm running for Attorney General because our Attorney General sucks and we really need a new one. I know if you all know that. Yeah, he's really, really bad. We've got, hey, Ian Mackey's in the house. Can we give him a shout? He's a state representative. He's great. Yeah, we need more good people in government. That would be lovely. So, look, we've got a big problem with this Andrew Bailey guy. I could tell you all day about all the bad things he's done, but you can probably just open the newspaper tomorrow and you'll see something else he's done that we haven't even thought of, like suing New York, for example. Or, heck, what is it with these have you all seen these illegal gambling machines in the gas stations? Yeah. So there's these machines. They look like, you know, they're slots and everything else. And this guy took our defense. So they're suing the state saying we can't enforce the law against them, and he's supposed to represent us against them. Instead of representing us, he decided to tank that whole case and take their money. He's taking contributions from the folks that he's supposed to be regulating right now in Missouri. This is a lot of the stuff that he has done so far, which is a big problem. So I could tell you a lot of other things he's done, and I'd be happy to do that. But I would rather tell you some of the good things that we can do if we had a functioning Attorney General. So I used to work there. I was an Assistant Attorney General in Missouri back when the Attorney General's office used to work. That guy's name was Chris Koster. I don't know if any of you all remember him. Yeah, absolutely. He did a good job. And, you know, back then we used to do basic things like going after scammers or enforcing civil rights or going after fraud in the Medicaid system or nursing home abuse, all these different things. And we don't do that very much anymore. As Attorney General, I will start Missouri's first fully staffed civil rights division in the history of Missouri. Most other states have one. Yeah, I agree. We really need one too. And that would protect our rights on the job, would protect our rights from discrimination. It would protect us from an abusive government. I don't know if you all have been paying attention, but we sure have an abusive government in the state of Missouri right now. They don't want to follow the law because they care more about power than actually doing their jobs. And unfortunately, that's in so many areas of our state government and even some local governments right now too. As Attorney General, I will bring back the Conservation Division. It used to be called the Agricultural and Environmental Division when I was there. It was a division that Jay Nixon started, that Josh Hawley got rid of. And its whole design is to protect our land, our air, and especially our drinking water from folks who are violating all the laws that we have to protect those things. We don't have that division anymore. So I will bring that back as Attorney General. As Attorney General, I will start suing these scammers again. The folks on the phones, all the time. Does anybody get these? Like the scam calls and the scam texts and the scam emails, the scam everything. Yeah, I was on my way. I was getting interviewed by Jason Rosenbaum for St. Louis Public Radio. And it was, oh, thank you. Did you listen to it? I appreciate it. At least someone did. It went for a while. And on the way in, he started talking about these scam texts. And I actually got one on the way in. And it said, "You are the talent we're looking for. Please respond." And it's very flattering. You know, I kind of wanted to. I did not. And you should not. And I had to give Jason some tips over there because he likes to respond in very mean terms to these people. But the answer is do not respond to them at all. One thing that you will be able to do when I'm Attorney General is you'll be able to use the Missouri Attorney General app, as long as that acronym is not taken by a former president of the United States of America. And the Missouri Attorney General app will allow you to, you're getting a call, you're getting text, you're getting these emails, to record these things, send it straight to the Attorney General. Heck, if you don't want to do it immediately, you can record and send an email later on, whatever you want. But that will help us streamline prosecutions in this area. Right now, there is a couple in the St. Louis area that the husband is a lawyer and the wife is his wife, because that's how that works. And she answers the phone when these people try to scam them. And they'll go in and they'll talk to them for a long time. And she just wants to get the address of these people. the names of the companies and everything else. And at the end of the call, sometimes she'll even buy some of the stuff to get that information. At the end of it, the husband, who's a lawyer, will now sue for violating the do not call list, and she is the star witness for the case. And they make a lot of money. I think we should be making a lot of money too. The state should be doing that also. So we'll do that again. Missouri invented the do not call list. Did you all know that? Yeah. Jay Nixon started the do not call list. And the federal government said, wow, what a great idea. We're going to take that idea and we're going to do it too. And you would have no idea that Missouri started that, given what's happening right now. There's not enough staff members at the office. When I was there, we had about 200 assistant attorneys general working for you. Today, it's about half of that number. You know, on my first day as an assistant attorney general, I was sworn in. I got a little cupcake. I don't know why. And I guess it was nice. And then my legal assistant started bringing in all these files into my room and kept doing it and doing it. And I said, where are all those? And she said, those are your cases. And I said, well, that looks like a lot of them. And she said, this isn't even part of it. You have 1,300 cases. Welcome to the state of Missouri. Whoa. And to think now that somebody who's working there has double that load is insane to even think about. So we need to get folks in that office working for us again. It's not a problem with the budget. It's a problem with the management. The guy doesn't know how to run the office, and people don't want to be there. They don't want to sue for these stupid things. They don't want to waste taxpayer money. They don't want to do all these horrendous things that this guy's pushing so he can get on Fox News every night and we get to pay for it. I think that's wrong. As Attorney General, I will start a public corruption unit to make sure that our taxpayer dollars go exactly where it's supposed to go. We don't have that either, and we need to have one of those too. So I've got a lot of ideas for the office, obviously. I know some of you are probably looking, it's like, man, you know what? That sounds really nice, Elad, but I don't know if you paid attention. We live in Missouri, and we don't have very many Republicans elected statewide. In fact, if you count them, you won't find any.
You mean Democrats?
Democrats. Oh, yes, I'm so sorry. There's so many Republicans.
Too many Republicans, I'm sorry.
You're right, thank you. I appreciate that, yeah. We need. Yeah, no, you know what? I am prophesying, right? So that we could have this happen. Yeah, we should fire all of them. I think so. But the problem is right now that we don't have anybody who's watching over these other folks. There's no accountability there whatsoever. And they know that. And that's why they're getting away with so much of this stuff, even though they're supposed to be responsive to us. And that's a big problem. But how do we beat these folks? So we've been traveling a whole lot. Beth is here. Beth is here somewhere. Hi, Beth. Beth is one of our fantastic coordinators here in the St. Louis region. She's been doing fantastic work. I've been driving around that truck, made in Missouri, by the way, that truck for a little bit over a year. We are at 49,000 miles as of today. Yep. And she's not here tonight. I'm sorry she didn't make it. I know some of you might have come just for her. My little dog named Liberty Bell. And she's way more popular than me. Some people are laughing, but it's true. To the point that, like, she's on all of this stuff. Like, you will see her because they want to see her instead of me, which I get. She's cuter than me. But sometimes she gets a little mad. So today she got a little mad. She's not coming out from under the bed because I wasn't home. And my wife couldn't get her to come out. The reason being is that she is a puppy mill rescue. I don't know if you all are familiar with puppy mills. Yes. So we are the #1 state in the country for abusive puppy mill facilities. And we've been that way for at least 12 years now. 12 years. You see a map of these things, they are all over the state. A lot of them in southwest Missouri, but they are everywhere. And we said as the people of Missouri, we collected signatures, we went to the initiative petition, we went out, we got folks to vote for this, and it passed. And then the legislature said, well, we know better than you. And they reversed it. And so a lot of those protections that we put in place to tamp down on these things went away immediately. They went away. And so this dog is one of those who's been abused or whatever, and now won't come out unless she sees me at the door, which is really weird, but you know what we're going to do. But that's not the only time that the government has tried to do that. They're doing it right now with a major initiative petition that's going to be on the ballot in November. That's to put reproductive freedom into the state constitution. We collected, yes, 380,000 signatures to do that. And that's despite our Attorney General, who went to court so many times to try to delay our ability, and he did. He was successful in doing that. We had we have only a few months to collect all of those signatures, and we did it anyway, despite what that guy did. Despite the fact that the judge had to tell him, no, you're not the state auditor, no, you're not the Secretary of State, you're the Attorney General, you don't have the ability to take away people's right to vote, people's right to access the ballot. And so in November, when we vote to put reproductive freedom in the ballot, in the state constitution, the last person that we want protecting those new rights is Andrew Bailey, because we know what he's going to do. That's not what they meant. That's not what people wanted. That's not what these words mean. And now we're going to be in court for years and years and years because this is our Attorney General. This guy has to be fired in November. We have to get that done. It is so essential for us to do that. So that's why I'm running for Attorney General. I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important. So we talked to a lot of Trump people all over the state, and mostly because they like my dog, and they're willing to hear stuff. And I think that that's an important part of this too. There's two major pieces to get folks to go vote, and we have enough people there. One is turnout. We need massive numbers of people voting, especially in the St. Louis and Kansas City area. Those numbers have not been good recently. And a lot of folks are frustrated with government. I get it. But we need folks to come out and see that they can be a part of this because their voices will be heard. The other part of this is trying to score 2 points for every one that we get. Because if that's one less vote for them, it's also one vote for us. That's 2 points for us, right? So I went to, some of you know this, I went to Trump headquarters in Warsaw, Missouri. It used to be a Central Dairy, which is a lovely thing because they still have ice cream there at least. But yeah, I went. They called and they invited me, and I said, why? And they said, well, because we like your dog, but also we like some of the stuff that you're saying. And I went and I spoke to folks, and I was the only statewide candidate who showed up. And they all came around this table. There was a whole bunch of folks trying to meet with other people, but they want to talk about the dog. And what do they care about? They were also upset about puppy mills. They were upset about the fact that drinking water is being polluted by meat processing plants and other folks from all over the state. They wanted that to be protected. They were upset that we didn't have any public corruption enforcement. They were upset about the Sunshine Law, which our government doesn't appear to be following too much either. They were upset about all of the same things. And sure, I couldn't get them all to say, oh, we're not going to vote for this Donald Trump guy anymore. But like having that conversation started that whole process. And I've seen that couple that runs Trump headquarters, I don't know why, but so many times all around the state. And every time they tell me, hey, we've got someone else who's going to vote for you. And that's what we need. We need to go out and talk to folks. Because what these people do not want is they don't want us talking to each other. They don't want us to build a community. They don't want us to talk to our family or our friends or anything about all of these things because they want us to be mad and divided as hell. Because when we are, they get to stay in power. And so I think that we need to show them in November who has real power in our government, and that's the people of the state of Missouri. So that's what we're about to show them. Thanks to Beth and all of the work that our team has done, we have the most voter contacts out of any campaign in Missouri by hundreds of thousands. I mean, this is a race for Attorney General. Yeah, that's a big deal. Hundreds of thousands. It's an organization that is kicking butt every day. We have thousands of volunteers signed up. We've got phone banks. Heck, we had phone banks so early. We had volunteers from New Jersey coming on our calls, and I said, why are you guys here? And they said, because nothing else is going on. And I said, well, thanks. I hope you enjoy it. And they came back. I think they did enjoy it.
Has their elections the next year, so
yeah, well, that's part. Yeah, but they got presidential too. All of this other stuff, and so
but everything else
yeah,
is the next year.
exactly right. Yeah, so yes, so we can then go help them right afterwards. Well, I'll join a phone bank after that. But yeah, it's really exciting what we've built so far. So for a lot of folks who are doubting, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Look, I mean, every day we are getting more folks involved in this campaign, and it is something that's got some real energy and juice behind it. So I'm excited about that. And man, we're going to kick Bailey's butt. If you would just come out of the basement to debate for 1 second. He's dodged 6 debates so far. And one, finally, somebody said, look, if this guy doesn't want to come out of his basement to talk to you, I will give you the entire time to talk to the crowd by yourself. And if that's what he doesn't want to show up. And that's what we needed. I mean, there needs to be some accountability for the way that these folks are not governing the state of Missouri right now. So Yeah, but thank you all for coming. You're a big part of what we can do. So I know there's a sign-up sheet going around. There's a lot of ways to get involved. Donations are obviously very important. So we hire folks in Missouri to run this campaign, and that's where most of our money is actually going to. Almost all of it is actually going to our organization right now. So that's a very big support. I would love to get Liberty Bell on TV for 30 seconds, because then I guarantee a win. So we need to do that. And then there are other ways to get involved. If you can host a meeting too, just like Lee is doing right now, thank you. But if you can host a meeting, have your friends come over. If you've got Republicans, I'd love to talk to them too, okay? If you've got folks that you don't know what they are, we've got to talk to them too. Disengaged, there were more disengaged non-voters than folks who voted for Donald Trump in Missouri. There's a lot of people out there just waiting for someone to ask them to vote and giving them a good reason why. So let's go find those people too. But yeah, sign up, please get involved. A really nice way to get involved tonight, if you are interested, is we've got Lincoln over here who's recording everything I'm saying, because that's what he does, even though he's got a broken wrist. I mean, come on, look at that guy. But you can also, he's doing like testimonial stuff for videos and everything too. So if you have something nice to say or something mean to say about Andrew Bailey, that's fine too. But no, we're mostly focused on positive stuff we can do for the state, but this guy's been such a disaster. I mean, he's keeping innocent people in prison right now. Multiple people that we're paying for, folks that have been adjudicated to be, this guy shouldn't be there, please release them. And then he calls up the prison and says, hey, actually, don't release that person. I mean, talk about a civil rights violation. Probably the reason they don't have a division, they'd have to sue themselves too many times. It's terrible. But yeah, there's some great opportunities here, but I'd love to answer. I mean, if folks have questions, I would love to answer those too, if folks do. If not, eat a lot of s'mores, but you know. Yes, oh, please. Yeah, I know.
Get rid of absentee voting
Yeah.
and all paper ballots. Is there any checks and balances?
Yeah. Yes, 100%. So the question is about the Secretary of State candidate on the Republican side, Denny Hoskins. He is trying to get rid of a lot of things. He's trying to get rid of machine counting so that everything would have to be hand counted after the election is done. But also he's got some extreme positions on absentee balloting and everything too. The Attorney General would be the one to enforce our civil rights in those situations. So if you have a Secretary of State who says, no, you guys can't vote, you can't access this, you can't do those things, litigation can be brought from the Attorney General in those situations. So that's a big reason why I want a civil rights division to start out with. Yeah.
They also vote for Barb Pfeiffer.
Yes, also vote for Barb Pfeiffer. She is running for Secretary of State. Denny is also one of those he's a state senator right now. And I don't know if you all saw this, but in Kansas City, after the Chiefs won a Super Bowl, which that was a good part, there was a shooting at the parade. And instead of talking about, oh, let's try to make our state safer and not have kids maybe get shot at a parade, his first thing that he did was he went on Twitter, on his personal account that he's now calling his state official account, and he said, he put up a picture of this guy and he said, this is the guy who did it. He's an illegal immigrant. It's all Joe Biden's fault. Well, the guy is a resident of Kansas, was born in Kansas, I believe, and is not an illegal immigrant, and it wasn't Joe Biden's fault. And this guy, you know, he put up all of these defamatory comments, and he then got sued. Because the guy asked him to say, sorry, please take this down and retract what you said. And he refused. Him and two other state senators, they refused to do it multiple times. So they ended up getting sued. And of course, where does this guy go after he's sued? To the Attorney General's office. And he says, can you please represent me so I don't have to pay for it? You know what the Attorney General said? Sure, no problem. So that's where Denny Hoskins is now running for Secretary of State. That's that guy. Yeah. And what's crazy is, even worse, is all those illegal gambling machines and everything else that are out there that the Attorney General's not doing anything about, and he's taking money from them. Denny Hoskins is very involved with all of those folks too. So it comes full circle pretty quickly when you start connecting those dots. Go for it, yeah.
they go do these crazy things.
Great question.
There's no one to rein them in.
Yeah, that's a great question. So oversight, and why is there none over the Attorney General?
Yeah.
So in Missouri, unlike, so at the federal level, we got a president, and then the president picks an Attorney General. And if your name is Donald Trump, maybe you pick like 3 or 4 attorneys general because you want them to do what you want. And so that is someone who's appointed by the president. In the case of the states, most, I think probably, well, I won't say all of them, but I know most of them, are elected separately from the governor or the lieutenant governor. And we've had times where the governor was one party, the lieutenant governor was of another party. True for the attorney general also, actually. So the attorney general is not supposed to be the lawyer for the governor or the lawyer just for the government, but I think should be the lawyer for the people of the state of Missouri. That's my view. So when you talk about, okay, the attorney general now has gone nuts, like what we have today, and he's going to court, and he's violating ethics rules, which he was getting dinged on in Kansas City for this whole property tax case that he totally blew, and he started talking to clients of the other side without their attorney being present, and so a judge said, you have to sit for a deposition. Finally, a judge was going to make him do something. Said, you're going to have to sit for a deposition. One of the people who I hear is really nice, who worked for him, was sanctioned because he also had a conversation with one of these folks, and the attorney general took up the appeal. As soon as he's like, no, you can't make me sit for a deposition, and the courts of appeals were like, yes, you do. And so he was running out of time, and this thing was about to happen the next day, so he files to dismiss the case. He dismissed the case with prejudice, which means you cannot bring it back. So it's gone now, all because he didn't want to sit for a deposition. And that was one opportunity to maybe get him on something. He's been threatened with contempt of court, at least in those keeping people in prison. Really, it's not even him. It's the folks who work for the Department of Corrections who that threat is against. Something else that he gets to get out of because, you know, it's not any skin off his back. There are bar complaints out against him right now. I know one specifically for what happened in Hazelwood with the kids who were fighting, and he made up a whole bunch of stories about what that was and went to the news, obviously, with them. And there's a bar complaint that's out there on that one. I wouldn't be surprised if there's several others circulating too. But where is the Missouri bar right now? I don't know. I mean, I pay a lot of dues to them, and I'd like to see if somebody's going to go nuts like this, you get held accountable. That would end up going to Missouri Supreme Court, and the courts have, I mean, they've come down and said you shouldn't be doing this, that, or the other, but there hasn't been anything to sanction him quite yet. So, I mean, the real check on his power is impeachment, and I don't think we're going to get anywhere with that in the legislature, but if they were honest about what this guy is doing and all the power that he has been taking on himself that he doesn't have, he would have been impeached a long time ago, a whole long time ago.
AG at the federal level, do you have any jurisdiction over a corrupt issue like that, for example, with regard to civil rights violations?
Yes, yeah, so yes. So if there's civil rights violations in the state, right, then the federal government can get involved in some of those situations. The Department of Justice does have public corruption enforcement as well. I mean, we've seen that. We've had some local elected officials here who have violated federal law in doing that. So yes, those cases do take some time, and oftentimes you don't hear anything until you hear the whole thing. So if something like that is happening, we wouldn't know, but we wouldn't necessarily know, I should say. But yeah, that is one potential mechanism of enforcement too. Yeah, we have less control over that. Yeah?
Any other questions?
Good?
Or people just want to eat s'mores?
Maybe you just eat some s'mores? Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you all for coming. Thank you. If you got any other, I'll hang out. So if you got some more, let me know. I know some folks are like, well, I don't want to talk about that time I got scammed, but can you help me with this? So, free legal advice tonight, you know? Yeah.